Hey, Stacey Hawkins here with another episode of Stacey Says, and I hope that you are having a terrific morning. If you watched the last couple of videos this week, we've been talking about why keto diets work. We talk about how to be able to keep the weight off forever. And yesterday when I was talking about that, and if you didn't see those episodes, you can check them out right here on Facebook, or you can go over to the YouTube channel and see them too. Everything is all there. All the episodes are there pretty much. But yesterday I alluded to talking about complex carbohydrates, and people are like, all right, what's a complex carb? How does it work? What's a net carb? How do I count? Blah, 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 blah. It's really not that difficult. But first I want to explain to you the difference between a simple carbohydrate and a complex carbohydrate. And we'll talk about that with the mighty potato, because I think that's something everybody's pretty much had, or and if not, you're familiar with. So first let's talk about like instant flaked potatoes, like they'll use in an institutional style setting. You know, it's a real potato, but it's just been dehydrated and it's maybe pre-cooked and it's in a flake, and you just add water to it and whatever other stuff that you want to turn it into a mashed potato. All right, that is as simple of a simple carb as can be, versus a complex carb, which would be the potato in its natural state, which is the potato with the skin on it and maybe even a little dirt on the outside. And the reason is this, the reason it's a simple carb versus a complex carb is because of what your body has to do to get the energy out of it. Now, in the first version, when you take a look at those simple mashed potatoes, your body doesn't have to do anything. It's right there as soon as you put it in your mouth. As a matter of fact, if you've ever done what they call, I think it's the amylase test, you can take a saltine or you can take a piece of potato and you start chewing it, and you know how it tastes sweet? And that's actually because it's your saliva extracting the sugar right out of it. And if you don't believe me, once you get off program, do it with a saltine and you'll be like, wow, that's crazy, because you'll taste how sweet it is. It's because those starches, all that stuff, it's readily available for your body, and that energy, it's like going through a fire hose. It just whoosh right into your bloodstream, right? Versus the natural potato, where you take a bite of it and your body's now got to break down the skin, it's got to break down the cells, and you got to chew it up and grind it in order to be able to extract that. And when it gets into your stomach has to work even harder for it. So that's kind of like getting energy through a teeny tiny straw, right? Not a plastic straw, but teeny tiny straw, where it's dribbling in little by little by little. And the difference is the effect it has on your bloodstream. In that first case, those sugars, all that energy, it's like whoosh, like I said, right in, versus going through the teeny tiny straw where it's just getting it a little bit at a time. Now, as you can imagine, you know, if you've got a certain amount of energy and you're shoving it through a big pipe or a little pipe, time becomes a factor here. When you're putting it through the big pipe, you're going to get it all at once. And that's why, like, when you eat a bowl of cereal or you eat a piece of candy, you get that rush, and then not too long afterwards you're crashing again. And that's because all of that sugar went into your bloodstream all at once, versus the teeny tiny little hose where it's trickling out over time. So, you know, you're going to keep constant energy, and that really is beneficial for you. And that really is what is so much better for your body and for the insulin and like the chemistry that we talked about. So it's really important to eat those complex carbohydrates. Number one, because it doesn't give you the sugar rush, but number two, because it helps keep you fuller longer, right? You're going to be on that nice long wave versus whoosh, crash, right? And we've all had that happen. So be conscientious when you are choosing carbohydrates to choose them wisely. Now, what is a net carb? Well, a net carb is basically, when you take a look at a nutritional label, and we should probably do a little tutorial on reading nutritional labels as well. We'll do that maybe next week. But when you take a look at the nutrition label, you're going to see that you'll have a total carbohydrate line, and then you'll also have a fiber line, and then you'll have like sugars, added sugar and sugar alcohol. So a net carbohydrate is basically the count of how big of a whoosh you get in your body. And of course, the lower the number, the better, right? So say, for example, when you take a look at something that may have 20 grams of carbohydrates and it has 5 grams of fiber, and then the rest is pretty much sugars. So that means you take 20 which is your total carbs, subtract the 5, which is the fiber, because the fiber really has 0 effect on your body whatsoever. And then you're left with 15. So you've got 15 grams of carbohydrates that are going to enter your system from this. And that is the net carb. You remove the fibers because, again, they have no effect on your body. And what you're really counting, and this is really important, like when you're transitioning off program, or if you're on a keto program and you're counting for yourself your number of carbs during the day, you want to count those net carbs. So the same thing with things like, you know, an apple. Not that you're going to eat an apple on keto, but just to give you an example, you know, you're going to take a look at what the fiber is in that, which there is definitely a lot. Even in your vegetables, you know, take a look at things like green beans or asparagus. Asparagus is a great example. A cup of asparagus has 8 grams of carbohydrates, but 4 grams of that is pure fiber. So your net is 4 grams of carbohydrates with that. So again, you're looking for the lower numbers. I hope that makes sense. I'm realizing we're going way over on time here, but I want to thank you for your time today. Just remember, it's really important. Choose your carbohydrates wisely as you're transitioning, or even when you're on program as well. Make sure that you're choosing nice, yummy, complex carbohydrates and calculate those net carbs so that you don't stray one way or the other. That's all for today. I hope you've enjoyed this little nugget of wisdom, and if you have, please feel free to share it with your friends. And make sure that you go out and you like and follow us on YouTube as well. That's where all these great videos are being posted. Until next week, I hope you have a fantastic weekend. And of course, as you're kicking around this weekend and want to find some great recipes, ideas, tips, techniques, blah, 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 check out StaceyHawkins.com. Thanks for your time again, everybody. I hope you have a good one. Bye.